Make room for Javi.
Welcome to my Project a Day video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year, and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 62 of 365, and today's project is ceiling insulation 15 of 44. My wife once said, "I don't think you realize the scope of what you've accomplished here," referring to the house. To which I responded, "I have a general idea, but upon reflection and going back through my build footage, I was reminded of the work that I all but forgot about. Even now, I enjoy the house, and my only thought is, it was a lot of work, but well worth it." Perhaps that one all-encompassing phrase is oversimplifying my building journey quite a bit. One of my YouTube viewers decided to do some calculations and send me a number on what they calculated I went through to build the house. The total work hours on the entire build is easy to calculate because I filmed almost everything and have about 2,800 hours of footage with me actively working on the job. I worked an average of 4 hours a day. There are a few days that I push 12 hours, but there are a few days that I only put in 2. If I estimate 4 hours a day for 2.2 years, I come up with approximately 3,200 individual man hours. That makes perfect sense, as a 4-person crew would average 1,800 to 2,400 man hours to build a 3,500 square foot house. Considering it takes longer for a single person to do simple tasks, like having to go up and down a ladder to hand himself supplies and tools, 3,200 seems about right. Let me share some numbers and how I arrived at them. Horizontal steps. For the clearing of the land, it was estimated approximately 2 years prior to the build, at 4 to 6 hours a day, walking a steady pace of relatively 2 miles per hour, or 80 steps a minute. That came out to a little over 18 million steps conservatively. Feel free to double check my numbers, because I am doing simple math here. Most of them sound right, but some of them may be way off. As far as the horizontal steps on the house, 60 steps a minute times 3,200 hours comes out to about 11.5 million steps. Now you figure you got to take off some time for ladder climbing because those are not horizontal steps, but at the same time, you got to add all the numerous times that I was cleaning up off camera, and that's got to be about 1 or 2 hours daily. Now, as to the ladder climbing, here are some numbers for you. Each ladder climb is between 8 and 14 steps. The scaffolding around the trusses were 27 steps per climb. I estimated a conservative 10 steps, and remember, you got to double each number as you have to climb down after you climb up. Here's how the ladder climbing splits up. Electrical. Electrical work involved running 102 circuits with 6,200 feet of cable for an average run of 60 feet. Assuming climbing up and down the ladder for every 4 feet gives me 1,550 climbs up and down, 15,500 steps. Now for the trusses, there were 102 trusses in which I climbed a 30-step scaffold 3 times per truss to align, 2 more climbs to secure the hurricane straps, for a total of 510 climbs, 12,750 steps. This does not include the numerous times I went up and down for bracing. The roof deck was 180 sheets of plywood, taking into account an average of 4 climbs per sheet. The first layer around the perimeter of the house I climbed many more times, but for anything above that, it was probably 1 or 2 climbs per sheet. Despite the fact that I had a contraption to raise the plywood, I would have to load 1, 2, or 3 sheets into the contraption, then go up and unload them, and add another 25% for cuts requiring custom cuts, 18,000 steps for the entire roof deck. Now for the roof underlayment, 8,000 steps. For the actual shingle placement, 10,000 steps. Roof blocking was up there at 16,800 steps. Ceiling drywall, 104 sheets at an average 5 climbs for placement, 52,000 steps. The wall drywall, 54,000 steps. Now for the lights, 11,000 steps. Exterior soffit, fascia, subfascia, and Christmas light wiring, minimum 8,250 steps. Smoke alarms are easy. 11 alarms, 4 climbs each time. That's 880 steps. The AC work it's 40 registers or vents, putting the duct work on them, the strapping, painting the duct seal material, plenum work, 50 foot of AC lines. So you're looking at 13,000 steps total for the AC. Plumbing lines, those are 8,000 steps. And insulation work, 5,000 steps. None of these include the runners, the bracing for the trusses. The reason I left out the battens is because I did that with the lift. I also used a scaffold, and I did climb up and down ladders to get up into the scaffold. So there is that. But regardless, there were a lot of steps involved, in building the house. For those of you counting cinder blocks, there were 2,612 laid cinder blocks. Another 2 to 3% thrown away for waste. There was all the mortar work, and I'm not including the warehouse build in any of these computations. This is just the house. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.